lot of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Duckett Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, my partner, he is missing. He is not here for a reason. He is actually doing some work with a couple of pros up on Table Rock Lake. And no, it's not a one-on-one. All right, he's not doing anything. He's actually doing some photography and video work today. Had to move some stuff around because of the weather. So he is not here today, but we are still going to have our special guest on today. Looking forward to it. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will bring in our guest. Hasn't been on for quite some time now, BOYD Duckett, and probably some of the most challenging times in Major League Fishing's history right now, with everything going on in the industry with the coronavirus and trying to get stuff rescheduled. So I thought it'd be a great time to have BOYD on the show and get his take on so many things that's going on, not only with Major League Fishing, but also in the industry. The other thing I want to mention real quick, a tremendous amount of feedback from the volunteers that I asked for. I'm still getting people sending me emails, and I can't thank everybody enough for wanting to take part in this little project that I have going on, trying to give back to the fans. But within an hour of me announcing that, I had multiple emails from numerous people. So I have two people that are ready to go to test this little project that I'm working on. So once again, greatly appreciate everybody sending your requests in to help us out with this little project. The other thing I want to mention real quick, and then we'll take a break, come back with BOYD, is it was really cool to see the video on social media. I don't know if people saw it, of Aaron Martins kind of gave a message to all the fans, to all the people that have been praying for him, and it was really good to see Aaron up and about, walking around. So I know he's gonna fight hard, and he looked good and wants to get on the water very soon. So it was very cool to see that video. If you haven't seen it, just go to his Facebook page, and it's out there. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with BOYD Duckett. So everybody stay tuned here on a Wednesday.
For the best combination of value and performance is over. It ends with Elite TI2. From high-res views of active imaging to mapping in real time with Genesis Live, the high-powered performance of Elite TI2 continues to dominate. And now, wirelessly share sonar waypoints and routes between TI2 displays. Get up to $200 cash back when you purchase a Lowrance Elite TI2 or Hook Reveal display. Visit Lowrance.com/offers for details.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
I want to share to you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC leader size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for leaders only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can, stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a leader, go check out Sunline FC Leader 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
All right, we are back with our special guest here on a Wednesday, Mr. Boyd Duckett. And Boyd, man, thanks for taking time out.
Yes, sir, man. Always a pleasure. We haven't hooked up and we haven't had a chance to talk.
No. Well, you've been a little busy.
It's been crazy, as you can imagine.
You've been a little busy, so appreciate you taking time out. And here's what we're going to do, folks. I know there's going to be a lot of questions on the instant feedback. We're going to talk to Boyd for a little bit, and then we'll take another break, and then we'll come back with questions on the instant feedback. Boyd, hey, let's kick this thing off. Is this the most difficult time from a business owner and from an angler that you've ever experienced? Is it worse than 2008? Is it worse than stuff took place in the 80s? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's interesting because, I've owned a business since the late 70s. Actually, 1977 had a body shop. And so of all of the things that I've done in the time periods, the recessions, what's different about this, and I agree, it is the most difficult I have had it. I guess it depends on what industry you're in as to how badly you're affected. But the economic impact of this COVID-19, I think in the history books will be what is remembered above the virus. And what makes this so unusual is the speed all of this happened.
Yeah.
In other words, as we have eased into recessions, 8, 9, 10, during that run, it was economically driven. So there were a lot of indicators. You kind of had a chance to make decisions about cutting your expenses back, getting prepared for, lesser sales. So everything was a slower curve through my entire lifetime. This deal was a snowball. You looked behind you and you went, there's an avalanche. And then you were covered, and everyone was there. So I guess it's different because, I was invested in several businesses and projects that if that had been seen on the horizon, I wouldn't have been exposed. Other companies, the same situation. We were all doing what we do in arguably some of the best economic times we've experienced. I mean, almost, stock market was at record highs. Manufacturing was killing it. Tech industry. I mean, everybody was rolling. Okay. So we were all, as business owners, heavily invested because now was the time. You make hay when the sun shines. And so everyone no one had cash. That's the problem. When you go into a slow economic period, you want to try to go to cash, and which allows you to live through that time period. And that's what caught everybody off guard. It's like you got up one Thursday morning and the world had crashed and everybody's cash was worth nothing as well. See? So yeah, it's the weirdest, most challenging business environment that I have been in.
All right, let's talk about the fishing perspective. Obviously, this has had a dramatic effect on scheduling for not just Major League Fishing, but really everybody else. How are you guys going to play it out? I've heard all kinds of things. You know, you're going to try and get everything in by August. You're going to try and do back-to-backs. I mean, what can you tell us and the fans from a scheduling standpoint?
Yeah, and I can't tell you anything definitive yet, as you can imagine, because that would depend on, the different governing bodies, the state and the boat ramps and the communities as to whether or not they would welcome us. But we would like to get started back latter part of May. So we have multiple plans on the table of schedules. But if there's any way possible, a lot of these states are opening up. They're starting to allow some sporting events. And so that we would like to be able to get back by 1st of June, say. And we have a schedule that is decent for that. When I say that, I mean, we're going to cram in all we can. What's very unique about Major League Fishing by comparison to the issues that I have at FLW, remember, talk about bad timing.
Yeah.
I spent 10 months last year, constructing this FLW purchase, and then now we can't have any events. That we got caught in about as bad a trap as you could on that side, economically and hard in the league. But looking at the difference of that style league or like a Bassmaster league, that's very different than we are at Major League Fishing because we're a media platform that's many times larger than the other organizations have been, and that's what drives our business. And we have television deadlines. So the Bass Pro Tour, for instance, it airs third quarter on Discovery. That airtime, was purchased long ago, and you just can't get up and change television schedules. So what kills us? We start airing July 3rd. And edit time for our product. It's a 2-hour show. It's heavily edited. Everybody's probably seen it. It's quite a level above anything that our industry had done before. But that takes 5 or 6 weeks to create. So when you start looking at the time frames, that's our challenge: is how many can we get in and still meet the air dates that start in July. So that's going to be, it's going to be impossible for us to finish our season, but we want to get enough in that we can cover all of our media contracts and television. So, we have a challenge that's beyond just holding events. It's all built around television schedule.
All right. I'm curious, Boyd, if everything was okay, and I'm talking about the coronavirus situation. If everything was okay, a big priority is when you go to these communities to have the communities be involved from a financial perspective, whatever entity it is, be it the chamber, be it the sports commission, whatever it is. Now with the situation that you guys are being dealt with, is it more about getting these events in and not worrying about the additional revenue that's generated from those entities? In other words, could we see 3 events in Texas? Could we see 3 events in Georgia just to get the events in?
Yes, I mean, unfortunately for the business, what we're up against now is finding a way to hold events, get the events shot, filmed, and edited. So, we're going to do our best to honor any of the contracts we have with communities, but they're also struggling. And so, their financial contribution Everybody knows it's good for the big tournament organizations to come to their community, highlight their lake, bring people into the community to spend money. That's the whole purpose behind that venue revenue. But all that's kind of out the window, man. It's just like, where do we have to go? Where can we go? Let's get this thing done. So the schedule, locations. The first thing we're working on is dates, because we have a lot of tournaments to get in, especially on the FLW side. I worked a good bit yesterday trying to figure out just dates to get all of those tournaments pushed back in. And then locations will fall next. You first have to make the calendar work. But at Major League Fishing, yes, everything is open. All venues are on the table. And it has to be something that fits, the schedule with all this stuff moving in a short time period.
All right, I know the FLW schedule has been produced. There was a media release that was sent out, a lot of dates. And the thing that really caught my eye, there's going to be events taking place in November and December. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is the weirdest year in the history of bass fishing, okay?
It is.
So it's just the weirdest year ever. But, guys like us that like to tournament fish, and, the same thing with our, all the BFLs, the Toyota Series. Forget about the pro events, the FLW Pro Circuit and the Major League Fishing side. We know we have to hold those events and find a way to get them done. But these guys fishing all the BFLs, we have almost 10,000 unique individuals that fish BFL tournaments, and they want to fish. They want to finish their season. So we are going to do all we can to fish all of them if there's any way possible. So yes, it's going to be weird. We're going to be fishing into the fall, having to make adjustments. On championships, definitely the 2-day super tournaments, the regionals, all that stuff, man. But I think, but the feedback we have, because look, man, nobody's got to fish any tournaments. I mean, that's the thing.
I know.
Everybody is like, when are we going to get to fish tournaments? So we're going to run as deep in the year as we have to. It'll be really different having so many fall tournaments, but there will be a lot of fall tournaments.
So having said that, and if you do wrap up the season, the Major League Fishing season with the BPT early, would it be possible for some of the BPT anglers to actually fish in other events for the remainder of the year since their schedule has been so limited?
Yeah, that's something we have talked about a lot because, with our television schedule, we're going to hit a hard wall on the Bass Pro Tour events. Now, we do have 3 cup events scheduled for the fall, that air in first and second quarter. So you do have that going on. But yeah, our guys, man, professional anglers, we like to fish tournaments. You can't starve us out of tournaments. So we're looking at the possibility of the guys, maybe joining some of the Toyota Series events. If there was some way possible, I think it would be cool if the guys could fish some of the pro circuit events. I just don't know how to make that happen, but our guys want to fish, and we got a blank sheet of paper out trying to figure out, if there's any way that the guys can fish some more events, because that's what we don't want to be cut off, man. Have to wait till next year.
I know everything's on the table, Boyd, because of this just unique situation that everybody's dealing with, but is one of the items on the table the possibility that you get together and everybody gets together with the BPT and says, you know what, we're going to have a couple more events, we're going to have an entry fee, it's not going to be televised, yes, we might do live streaming, but we need more events, here's what we're going to do, let's get after it. Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. Like I say, we're kind of in the first thing we're focused on is figuring out how to get in those events that we can to cover our sponsor requirements, make sure that we provide the media that we've committed. We want to get 100% of what we owe our sponsors. We want to get that covered first. So that'll be the first priority. Then beyond that, there's another sheet of paper, how can we continue to fish? And so, yes, once that's defined, hopefully within the next week or 2, we'll have that information available. But our guys want to fish. We're going to figure out a way to fish some more events somehow.
All right, very cool. Let's talk a little bit about the industry itself. Obviously, with you being the owner of Duckett Fishing, and the whole supply chain being affected by this. We've never seen as many people on the water as we have seen over the past 6 to 8 weeks. It has been crazy. I know it's been crazy in Alabama. It's been crazy all across the country, with the exception of the states that did not allow people to take their boats on. But even people fishing from the bank. What effect is this going to have on the industry? And are we really looking towards some really challenging, difficult times from a revenue standpoint for pockets of this industry?
Yeah, that is a really good question. Obviously, I spend a ton of time trying to guess and make decisions as to what will happen. The overall, I'll start at 30,000 feet and say that our industry is part of all of the U.S. economy, and the U.S. economy is taking a blow. Okay, that's a fact, and so when you take the profit dollars from a 8-week period or a 10-week period out of the year, there's not much chance that most companies, both public, which would drive the stock market, private companies, there's not much way they can produce profit in that year, because they've taken tremendous losses for 2 months out of 12. So that's going to have a negative effect in the sense that the GNP of the country won't produce the profit margins it's used to. That's a year or two recovery. And so our industry, like all, are in that. You have a lot of people, although I will say what's unusual this time, this is a dynamic we haven't seen before. Our government has stepped up like never before. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got the payroll protection plan. You've got, checks going to individuals. You have this contribution to unemployment. There's so many people that have been laid off because the businesses aren't open. But there has been a tremendous, couple of $1 trillion here put into the economy from the government, and that's the first time in history. Mm-hmm. So that's a new dynamic. I don't know how that'll play out now, but overall, I don't want to underestimate, and our listeners, I'm not an economist to predict these things, but I have to do that for myself and my company. So that's what you and I are doing today. We've become economists. There will be a residual slowdown. There'll be people that don't get their jobs back. There'll be payroll decreases because it's necessary for the companies to operate. So we will have a year or two time frame that it'll take for things to get back to normal in this country. So that's likely to happen, regardless of all the other situations. What's unique about the fishing industry, and this is maybe a shining star among this bad environment, just like you said, a lot of people have been off. They've been laid off. Social distancing. The safest place I know to go is the water. I'm out in the middle of a lake. Right. Nobody can cough on me in the middle of a lake. So, and there's been a lot of people go to the water. A lot of fishing has happened in this country, and it's probably motivated people that didn't fish on a regular basis to become reinterested. We're seeing that in product sales. Now, I'm not saying that it's all great, but there are companies. We're the last week or two, we've seen a spike in sales. Some of the big box stores are starting to see some spike as they reopen. Independent retailers, same thing. Now we went through a tough down period because so many stores got closed. A lot of your independent retailers had to close, and people weren't out and about. So we had that downtime, but it may be that there's more interest in fishing, and that our particular industry recovers quicker than, say, the rest. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the whole circle there on the way I see that.
Is debt going to be a major issue, both from a business standpoint and from the consumer standpoint?
Yeah, debt will be an issue. That's always, consumer debt in the country drives a ton of sales, especially in the bigger ticket items. As a White River Marine dealer, boat motor sales are generally big purchases. Most of them are financed. And so when individuals have time off of work, or they have a hiccup in their regular income source, not only that, but it's just consumer confidence. When you're not sure what's going to happen, you're not sure if you'll continue to work. You're not sure if your company's going to make it, especially if you get payroll cuts. You just aren't in the mood to take that risk.
Right.
So consumer confidence in spending drives a lot of that. So I think a lot of the bigger ticket items, I'm a little concerned for the boat and motor industry. I think that you'll see a slowdown there because, jumping out there and financing a $75,000, brand new Triton boat, and that's a pretty big risk in this time. So there'll be portions of our industry that struggle a little bit. But like I say, this is so unprecedented. It came so quickly, and so many things have been done, especially with all this government stimulus. It's possible we could come out the other side quicker than normal. It's just unprecedented.
Right.
I mean, I worry about it every day, trying to make decisions on where to spend and what to invest in, and it's just all new, guys. It's different.
Yep. All right, let me ask you this. I've discussed this topic numerous times on this show. You just mentioned it, $75,000 for a brand new boat. Because of what we are dealing with here, could this be a change in pricing strategy to where we could actually see a decrease in the price of bass boats?
The problem with that is you can't just decrease the price of bass boats. All of the brands, all of the brands' margins today. Okay, I'm just going to reach out there. I don't know all the boat companies, financial, but I know a lot about the boat industry, and the margins that all of the boat manufacturers have today are skinnier than they were 15 or 20 years ago. Okay, so there isn't margin in the boat business to cut. That's a misunderstanding that there's these giant margins. They're as skinny as they ever have been today in the boat manufacturing business. So what you're asking would require a different boat. Okay. It would require some, because by the time you put what we all want, with power poles and brand new electronics and all the bells and widgets, all the gadgets, you can't. It's an expensive product.
Right. So
what we have to do, which is one of the things that we did at Major League Fishing, we originally fished out of Nitro Z18s. It's an awesome boat. It's a very affordable boat. Had Mercury 150s on them, and that boat, that boat sells mid-30s loaded. Okay, and you can tournament fish out of it, and you can be just as competitive as someone else. So recognizing, a lot of it is on us, on the fact that you don't have to have a $75,000 or $80,000 boat to be competitive and win bass tournaments. We have proved that in Major League Fishing. Now, they're nice. I'm not saying they're dead even.
Right.
But I'm saying, Mercedes-Benz cars are nice to drive also, but a lot of us have Altimas and other products.
Right.
Okay?
Right. I get it.
Yeah. But we have to learn how to fish and compete out of a cost provided boat, out of something that's affordable. And I think that is something the boating industry has done. I look at some of the other brands. Phoenix has some brands, for instance, that are more cost effective. They came into the marketplace with high-end competitive boats. They are creating some boats that are affordable. Obviously, even Ranger has some cost-effective boats. Nitro leads that space. So a lot of the boat manufacturers have learned how to build a boat that's not bad. It's not rough and cheap and junky. It's a quality boat at an affordable price. And we have to learn how to fish out of those. Okay? That's the deal. So,
well, I get what you're saying, and I agree with that. But the point that I was trying to make is there opportunity now for one of the boat manufacturers, not at an 18-foot level, but is there an opportunity? You don't need $20,000 worth of graphs. You don't need, all of this additional accessorization on bass boats to be able to put together a 20-foot boat with a 225 or a 250 on it and it not be $75,000 to where somebody comes out with a price point of $39,000. The other thing that I don't really understand, and I don't think I'll ever understand, is I've always thought that the biggest cost to any manufacturing company is labor cost. All right? Huge when it comes to benefits and then total package that you end up having to pay your employees. And I have never really seen that from a boat manufacturing standpoint. It's been more of all the R&D and the accessorization that takes place in the boating industry. So the point I was trying to make, Boyd, is this an opportunity for any boat manufacturer to come out with a very affordable price point boat that is not 18 foot with a 150?
Yeah, I think so. I think taking the experience that the boat manufacturers have and choosing an accessory package that is affordable.
Yeah.
Okay. But still a high enough quality to be functional.
Right.
Okay. That would be a neat boat. But several of the boat manufacturers, Mark, have done that.
Nitro has tried to do that.
Nitro's done that, and Triton's done that with the Patriot series.
Yeah, you're right. A
20-foot Patriot is a legit tournament boat, and it comes with good enough. Okay, it comes with good enough accessories to tournament fish.
Yeah,
not the highest end, but good enough products. But I got to go back because I can tell you that's available today, but it's available through the buyer and not through the seller. It's the individual's responsibility, the new boat buyer. Anybody that's listening that wants to spend 40 grand and not 75, you need to order a boat, 19 footer with a 175 or a 200. A 200 on these new 19 foot boats, they're good riding boats. I mean, there's been a tremendous amount of advancement in the boat industry. You take a 19-foot boat with a 200, you buy electronics that are affordable and still functional. I'm not going to push any product brands on you, okay? I'm just going to tell you, go research, talk to everybody. There are good products that will allow you good mapping, good imaging, good sonar that you can use to go to spine fish and win tournaments, okay?
Yeah.
And they don't cost $2,500. It's out there. And all of your accessories, and build a boat that is affordable. I promise you, for 40 grand, I can go to most boat manufacturers right now and spec a boat that you can win tournaments out, that I could win tournaments out of, with a 19-footer with a 200. Okay, so that's available. Mm-hmm. It's the mindset of the angler. That's, and the big ones are nice, guys. I run a 21 TRX, and they're nice. But I also compete out of 18 and 19 footers, and you can win tournaments out of them, and they're not 20 steps behind. So as an individual, you got to get your head right and say, all right, I'm going to spend 40 grand and I want the best, most competitive boat, something I can go find fish equal to everybody and compete in bass tournaments, and I can run in reasonably rough water. Okay, there are boats out there right now that you can spec out at 40 grand and go compete in anybody's bass tournament.
All right, there you have it, folks. I know we've been talking a lot of business, and we haven't talked a lot of fishing. We will definitely get into some fishing here. I have one more business question, and I'm sure there's some questions on the instant feedback we will get to from a business standpoint after the break. But your company, heavily involved in the supply chain when it comes to merchandise and parts and everything from your marine dealership to Duckett Fishing. How disruptive is the supply chain going to be over a period of time? And are you seeing an effect on your inventories right now when it comes to product?
Yeah, there's definitely an issue because obviously the COVID-19 affected China first, and it is still affecting China greatly. Most of the most all products in the fishing industry are manufactured there. That's where the industry with supply lives. That's not something that can be converted overnight, although I think that a lot of the U.S. companies may take advantage of this opportunity to move some of that manufacturing back here. I would love to see that happen. But we have to figure out how to do that economically so the consumer, everybody, including me, would like to buy American-made products, but they don't. That industry does not exist here, and the option is we can move it all back this year, but then the anglers in America will arguably pay 200% for everything they buy from this point forward. So is that the right thing to do? Do we want to double the cost of fishing? Because that is arguably what it would be today because of a lot of things. One of them being, this current administration that we have. A lot of people, think they're crazy talking about the unfair trade situation with China. That is one of the big deals here that's created this problem. Our government has promoted outsourcing of products and has not made it where we can be competitive, manufacturing a lot of this stuff in the U.S. And it isn't fair. I mean, as bad as somebody wants to, look, there's been a lot of companies try to build in the U.S., and most of those products are more expensive for lesser quality. They're more expensive for lesser quality. Mm-hmm. How many of you guys want to buy that? So though our spirit all wants it to be made here, it is not an easy economic choice, because I promise your spirit's not going to want to pay extra money. I know the U.S. market too well. It's a price-sensitive market. So we need help through the whole arena, mm-hmm. which starts with making us competitive with China from a tariff perspective. Okay, we need an equal playing field, and we don't need the U.S. consumers of fishing products to have to pay that bill. We shouldn't have to pay double for everything. So we don't want that either. I mean, you just close the border and say everybody build it here. I'm fine with that. You know me, I'm an entrepreneur. I'll build a plant here in Guntersville, and I got plenty of space in the industrial park here.
Right.
I would love that opportunity. That is not best for our consumers to double the cost of living, because I promise you, your paycheck's not going to double, just your expenses. So we're trapped, and we need help. And so this negotiation with how to manage China and how to make these tariffs fair so that our export products can equal the tariff amount of our products going into their country and their products coming into our country need to be the same. If you give us an equal playing field in America, our American workers and our American ingenuity, we can build products that's competitive from a price perspective with anybody in the world, even though we have higher wages. I'm certain of that.
Right.
But we can't compete when the playing field isn't fair.
Right.
That's what the problem is. We need our government to make the playing field fair, and then we can and listen. All of this, I mean, if there's any silver lining out of this whole worldwide pandemic, It's that we have recognized that we are extremely susceptible. We don't manufacture a lot of products here in the U.S., and I think you're going to see a trend of fixing that. And I think that our Congress will finally recognize that we need some help from the federal level to let us compete and let us manufacture here on a equal playing field, and you'll see more manufacturing of products come back here. I mean, you just give me an even field and I'll do it in a minute.
Right.
It just is not fair yet, and we can't do it. And I know, as bad as, as patriotic as our, as most of us are as anglers and Americans, we don't want to pay double, and we're not going to pay double.
Right.
So it has to be changed before the rest of us as manufacturers can make that change.
All right, man. With all this going on, how much time have you spent fishing, if any?
I've been busy as heck, but I will say, and you know how much I travel, Mark. I'm gone all the time somewhere, either fishing or working, or, almost, I'm in different states every week, almost always. I fly all over this country trying to keep up with my business.
Yeah.
I've been home for like 5 weeks. That may not sound like much, but for me, that's like a lifetime record. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never, and so I have been, and I've been either here at Duckett fishing, at my house on the lake. And so, we're away from everybody, and I've gotten to fish. I've been busy as heck, but, working, and there's no difference in my days between Thursdays or Sundays or Saturdays. So you just go, but I've got to go for 3 or 4 hours simply because I'm in town. And I have fished a lot here at Guntersville the last 5 weeks. So not whole days. I can't do a whole day, right. But I've got to go, and a lot of this stuff's phone. So, I can be on the boat, answer phone calls. I've done Skype calls from the boat, so I have fished more than you would think the last 5 weeks.
All right. Well, we'll get into a little bit more of that because so many guys, the discussion has been, I haven't been home during this time of the year when the spawn was going on. So I'm enjoying something I haven't been able to do for years. So
yeah, I'll tell you, a month ago, and I never see, a month ago we had a huge spawn at Guntersville.
Yeah.
4 weeks ago now, and they stayed up for like 2 weeks, and I went in the evenings and sight fished, and I haven't done that, gosh man, probably since I've lived here more than like once or twice. And it was so good, and there were massive waves coming up. So yeah, I got to do things I haven't done here at Guntersville. Wow,
that's awesome. All right, we're going to take our final break. Come back with the instant feedback questions. Everybody, stay tuned.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done. While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry,
and protect it from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO, any fish, any water.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a grate for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back with our special guest today, Mr. Boyd Duckett, and it is time to go to the instant feedback. And Boyd, right off the bat, there are many, many people on the instant feedback that want to know what's up with the sign over your left shoulder.
No. Oh, yeah. So there's a group here in the political group here in Alabama that's pushing me to get involved in this Senate race, but with the fishing league, I just don't really think I have time. I'm trying to, if they'd let me do it part-time, that's my question. If they'll let me be a part-time U.S. senator, then I'm willing to do it.
Oh, there's a ton of guys that do that already.
Yeah, actually, I think the job is part-time, so that's probably easy to do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's what that's about.
All right. Andy in Indiana wants to know, with the rescheduling and everything, are you looking for new officials or maybe some people in certain areas to help out? What's the situation on that?
We currently, we have 50 full-time officials at Major League Fishing that we have from different areas, mostly from the Oklahoma region, that travel with us, and of course 40 a day on the water, and then we got backups and additional help. But we don't use a different official every time. Those guys go through a school there in Tulsa. They're trained on a quarterly basis. We've got, I guess, enough officials for the year, unless we changed our program. I mean, if you're interested in being an official, you could call Major League Fishing, but it's kind of a full-time deal. We don't do a part-time deal.
There you have it. All right. A number of people want to know what the situation that Aaron is going through from a health perspective, and then the situation with Shaw. If Shaw's unable or Aaron to return, it doesn't look like Aaron's going to be able to return. Are you going to fill those slots with 2 additional anglers, or will the field just be short, either 1 or 2 anglers?
It's a good question, and we have talked about that. And obviously, what we do at Major League Fishing is, the top 10 guys in the points from the FLW Pro Circuit move up at the end of next year, and then every year thereafter. So we have 10 guys a year coming into our sport. So we just now started talking about that. Those issues we don't know yet,
right?
But we will have to make that decision before our first tournament. But I would think that we like our we have an 80-man field and we fish 40 a day. So probably what you'll see are 2 guys come up that are points points leaders from the FLW Pro Circuit to compete in those events if those guys can't fish. And of course, we have a medical exemption for what it's worth for at the Bass Pro Tour. So if Shaw can't return right away or Aaron can't return right away, then it won't be killing them in points.
Right.
Okay. They'll maintain where they were because we don't want to lose guys over a health issue.
All right, Jay in Ontario, this is an interesting question because there was somewhat a bit of controversy at the Lake Fork event about sight fishing. And he wants to know, why do you allow sight fishing, and is there a way to monitor or have some rule in place where you can't catch the same fish twice? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so we have talked about that like a million times about how to manage that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things early we wanted to try to figure out how to put a rule in. It's a real difficult rule for the official to determine if you're fishing for a fish you fished for earlier or not.
Yeah.
Unless, and you don't really want them standing right beside you up on, there's normally multiple beds. You guys have all sight fished.
Yeah.
There's multiple beds in an area. So how to determine that is a pretty tough choice in itself. But it's kind of regulated itself. We've done this. Remember, we've had cups we're 10 years old. We had our first cup 10 years ago. We've done lots and lots and lots of tournaments. And we really haven't had it happen. Because the time it takes to catch the first sight fish, okay, a lot of guys won't spend that much time. But to try to catch that fish again is going to be a long time, and you can't get ahead in Major League Fishing putting an hour on a sight fish. So really, it hasn't become an incident. That part hasn't become an incident. So. We haven't had we haven't been forced to create that rule. You can see how difficult it would be to identify it, number one, but we haven't been forced to because it really hasn't been an issue. Nobody that has caught one twice.
I mean, I know there are great sight fishing anglers out there, and I know it's part of your tournament presence during certain times of the year, but why not just say, hey, you know what? You guys can't look at them. Go catch them.
Yeah, well, when they're, I agree, and you could do that.
Yeah,
but you're still going to be bed fishing.
Well, you are, but you're not physically looking and visually looking at a fish on a bed trying to get that thing to bite with multiple flips.
I agree, except for all you got to do is just back your boat up far enough so you can't see anymore. I mean, think about this now.
I'm with you, but man, that's like circumventing the rule. You guys are smart guys. The guys on the BPT are smart guys. They're going to figure something out. But what I'm saying is if you physically or visually see a fish on the bed, okay, that fish is out of play. And if you back off and make a pitch or flip toward that bed, then the official goes, nope, that fish isn't going to count. Sorry. Figure it out. You guys are the best in the world. Figure out how to catch them without looking at them and go make some money.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, we don't do much sight fishing because generally you'll get beat sight fishing in Major League Fishing.
I get it.
But let me tell you, here's the problem. When you're building rules for a tournament organization, I'm going to challenge you on that because the rule has to be black and white.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
And here's the problem. I just sight fished, Guntersville had tons of fish on the bed for 2 weeks. There are so many fish in an area, okay, on beds. So I go down through there and I see 50 beds. That's normal, by the way. 50 beds. So I wasn't sight fishing, by the way. I was throwing a little worm on a split shot rig, but I'm catching bedders. Now I saw them on the bed. So is that sight fishing? I know I'm fishing for bedders.
Right.
I get a bite and he bumps it and misses it, and I throw back there again, and he bumps it and misses it, and I throw back there again, and I finally catch him. That is a bedding bass.
Right.
Whether I'm looking at him with my eyes or not looking at him. So then you'd have to say, well, you can't fish for bedding bass. Okay. Well, now I'm going down a bank and I get a bite and I miss him and I get a bite. And I know he's bedding. but I caught him. I never saw him, but I know I'm fishing for bedding bass, so you can't have that rule. So what you're going to tell me is in the spring I can't fish on the bank. I can't fish less than 10. There's just no way to build a rule to make that happen.
All right, I kind of get it, but I still say that if you are visibly looking at a fish and you can see that fish, you tell the official, you know, if it's a sight fishing, you know, hey, the official sees what you're doing and go, nope, I'm not going to allow that fish because you are visually looking at that fish. Now, if you go out, and once again, Boyd, you guys are smart. You're very, very intelligent. Let's say you go out and there's several tricks. You could do the paintball thing where you take a paintball gun and shoot the paintball on the bank, and you know that that bed is right there in practice. If you find them, then you back off and you're not, visually looking at the fish. All right, but you know that fish is on a bed, but technically you're not sight fishing. You're just pitching up there with a Cinco or whatever, and the fish bites. Okay, that's a legal fish because I wasn't looking at it, but you found it during practice. All right, well, what's the other way? You take a stick and you put the stick on the area where the bed is. And I get it. It's just I think people are as fans are trying to create, of which I think that is what you guys are trying to do, is create the most level playing field that you can for the entire field. That's the bottom line. Agreed?
Yeah, I agree, but when you think, I don't want to sit here and fight with you over the whole thing, but you'd have to create a black and white rule, and then you got to go back and think of what you were trying to accomplish, because you haven't accomplished anything because you're still bed fishing.
I get it.
You haven't accomplished anything, so why have the rule?
I know. I get it. All right. Yeah. Let's see here. Mark in Minnesota wants to know, what is the plan for heavy hitters this year and next year?
Yeah, so heavy hitters, it was a single season event that we did for this year, and what we did, we replaced the slot, and for the television airtime, we needed to have a major event, which heavy hitters is, because our red crest shifted to the spring. So that's what created the need for a specialty event. So the heavy hitters is a one-time event for this year. Now it's turned out to be such a cool event, and all the anglers love it. We're trying to figure out a way to maybe keep it in, but there won't be a space for it in 21. So we would have to make some adjustments to keep it. I don't know with the economic challenges moving forward that now would be the time to try to add anything additional. So I don't know that answer, but I will tell you we are when we get to heavy hitters, because we know that the television deadlines are going to shorten our schedule. We are going to make heavy hitters all 80 anglers, so that we can have an additional points event this year. So that part has changed.
All right, let's see here. I'm kind of getting ripped on that one on the instant feedback, boy.
What you getting ripped about?
Come on, Jeffries. That's a little bit too complicated. You can't keep people from sight fishing.
Yeah.
I get it. It wasn't even my question, for crying out loud. Jeez.
Yeah. You're just rolling with it.
That's all I'm trying to do. Let's see here. What we're saying here's a couple, because there is multiple questions on the instant feedback about this. What was the reasoning for scheduling Redcrest the way that you did?
Well, the reasoning for moving Redcrest to the spring for all of our sponsors, we want to have a Redcrest. We have a big expo planned for that. And basically that's sponsor driven. Our sponsors want to be able to launch their products in the spring. They want to kick the fishing season off with a big event. So that's just what drives it. It's the timing of the year that best fits the industry. That's when our sponsors want to have a big expo, have everybody come out, get excited about boats and motors and rods and reels and lures. So that's what drove that.
All right. We had an interesting question yesterday. If there was one thing that you had to keep, what would it be? Power poles, spot lock, or side imaging? What would it be?
Daggum, guys. I like all of those. Okay, power poles, spot lock, or side imaging.
Yeah.
Side imaging. Boy, that is tough, man. Those are all powerful. You know, I guess I would probably give up spot lock. Because I can control, I've done this for a long time. I can control my boat in open water. I couldn't give up power poles because I use them so much in shallow water when I don't want to run my trolling motor. So I guess I could have manual spot lock, so to speak, with my foot. So I would give up spot lock. I want to keep my side imaging, and I got to keep my power poles.
All right, there you have it. By the way, Ben has a great comment here. It says, so many of the top fishers at Fork sight fish. Do you think that Major League Fishing does not want Justin Atkins catching a 10-pounder? That was pretty cool.
Man, that is so cool. And all of us, you know, when we get the opportunity, what's more exciting than finding a giant on a bed and fishing for it and finally catching it? You know, you just don't want to take that out of the sport, man. It's fun to watch. It's fun to do. Yeah.
Now, I never got confirmation on this, and maybe you can confirm or deny this, but did Roy Hawk catch a 16-pounder at Lake Fork?
Yeah, so Roy caught a giant fish, and it wasn't weighed on a certified scale, but Roy weighed it.
Yeah,
and he estimated it. It's a giant. It's not confirmed that it was 16.2 or 15.10 or whatever, but he caught a giant in and around that size. And then and Roy put that fish back, and I'm proud that he did. Man, that is a once in a lifetime fish. So he waited and immediately returned it. He didn't tank it. He didn't take it in to shoot pictures, because a fish that size, if you tank it and go handle it, you're going to kill it.
Yeah.
And Roy's from out west there, where he's been around a lot of big fish, and I'm proud of him for putting it back. But yeah, that happened in practice, not verified to be a number.
Is there a picture? Is there a picture anywhere?
I think Roy has a picture. Yes.
Okay. All right. I got to call him.
There's a picture.
All right.
Yeah, just not an official weight. But it's a mammoth, gigantic bass, so whatever it is. Hey, 15, 16, I don't know. It's bigger than anything I've ever caught.
So he weighed it on his scale, and it was 16 pounds.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you should call Roy and have him on the show.
Well, somebody mentioned, I can't remember who mentioned it on one of our shows, and there's been nothing out there. I don't know. Maybe there was something on his social media. I have no idea. But there really wasn't a buzz that I saw about him catching a 16-pound fish. That's crazy.
It wasn't verified. He just caught it and put it back.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I will. I'll give him a call on that. Would that not have been a Cheryl Lunker, though, in Texas?
That's what it would have been, a Cheryl Lunker in Texas. But I guess if you're not from Texas, you don't think about that. I wouldn't have either, to be honest with you. We don't have that in Alabama, so I don't know that I would have remembered that either.
Huh. All right. Colton in Texas wants to know, you can go out with one Duckett fishing rod and reel. What's your favorite, and what would that be?
Wow. Well, if I can only fish with one, then I'm going to have to get something all-purpose. So I'm going to say it's going to be a 7.0 medium heavy. And I'm just going to go blow it out for you. Since I own the rod company, I'm going to move all the way to the black ice, because that series of rods, now they're grossly expensive at $400.
Yeah.
But they're worth $800. Okay. Okay. But that rod is so perfect. 7.0 medium heavy, black ice. Put one of the new Paradigm reels on it, and I'm probably going to spool it with 14-pound fluorocarbon. And that would be the most versatile I have. I could throw a crankbait if I had to with square bill. I could throw a trap, spinnerbait. I could throw a chatterbait, a worm. I can cover. That one rod. I could fish all day with that one rod and probably catch a pretty good bag.
Yeah. What's your favorite Micro Magic Pro rod? The original.
Oh, the 7-foot medium heavy and the Micro Magic. By the way, I will say, if price point, the only reason I picked the black ice is they're so unbelievable, dude. I know they're expensive. They're not for everybody. But I will tell you, even having access to all of them, obviously, I still fish with about 6 or 7 Micro Magic Pros. That series, it's a $149 rod, and dude, that's one of the best rods we ever made. My favorite, to answer your question, is the 711 Crankin'. It's just the most perfect big plug. If you're throwing a BD16 or 6XD or 3/4 fat free shad, whatever your baits are, that's the one, man, and it's perfect for big crankbaits.
All right, Anthony in Boston wants to know, is there one specific lesson that you learned that you found most instrumental in your continued success? Lesson learned.
I assume that's fishing.
I don't know. Could be business, could be fishing, who knows?
Yeah,
give us both.
I've learned a lot of lessons because I'm dumber than most, and it takes me 2 or 3 times, to learn everything. But I will tell you, tournament fishing, which I started traveling, leaving my house when I was 17, back in North Carolina, traveling fishing the Fisherman's Bass Circuit, which was a southeast trail, but leaving my home lake, going to other states. Okay, traveling and tournament fishing, and the lesson that I learned through my whole career as a professional angler was the biggest key to success is how you manage the day. And it's not physical. It's not the golf swing. So it's not the rod, reel, bait, lure, or technique, or your ability to jerk a jerk bait better than Van Dam. What will make you money tournament fishing is not being stupid, making good on the water decisions. And that requires building enough confidence that you let your intuition as to what to do next. I mean, let's face it, guys, everybody that's listening that tournament fishes, you go to your starting hole and they're not there. You have to make a choice. You go to your next hole and you're catching them, but they're not big enough. You have to make a choice. You fish for 3 hours and you haven't gotten a bite, and you must catch them, because that's what we have to do for a living. We must catch them. You have to make a choice. It's that series of choices that you make that will make you successful or not successful. Regardless of your skill set, at the techniques you're good at, it's about the decision making. So when I learned to focus on that decision making, I was able to win higher level tournaments and compete with guys that, in all honesty, with my work schedule in my life, I've never been able to compete. I am not better at any technique than anybody, but I've won now 6 tour level events, including a classic and some championships, and it's about decision making. So that's what I learned. I bet the first 15 years I spent trying to skip a jig better, jerk a jerk bait better, throw a crankbait better. And, I relied on the skill set, and it's all about the decisions you make when it goes wrong. That's how you win money. That's how you have good events. That's how you finish 9th instead of 40th. That's how you finish 1st instead of 7th. That's the greatest lesson I've learned about fishing, and y'all got it here today for free. I should charge for that.
No, come on, boy, tease.
That's big. That's big, dude. If you talk to the top anglers in our sport, and if they're honest with you, they'll tell you that.
Well, the other thing too, you can go back in history and look at really, really big time events that have been won. It's about how the guys have made decisions throughout the tournament, not what took necessarily prior to the tournament in their preparation. It's how they evolved and made decisions during the event. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's the game, dude. In
Yeah.
what we do, it is the game.
All right. For my West Coast guys out there, I stick up for the West Coast all the time. That's where I grew up. If things get back to normal, please tell us and the West Coast fans that at least on the table to take the BPT out on the West Coast within the next 2 years, be it 2021, 2022, will we see the BPT on the West Coast?
Well, you'll be pleased to know that we feel the same way that you do, and that the West Coast is already on the table. And we were pushing hard to try to make it happen in 21 with our economic impact. And this economic impact, guys, by the way, is going to hit pro anglers pretty hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of manufacturers going to make a lot less revenue this year. There's going to be cutbacks. So that may slow us down, may or may not. Okay. But it is definitely on our radar. We have talked to cities and venues. We have looked at timing, and Bass Pro Tour is coming to the West Coast in the next couple of years.
All right, there you have it. And we've discussed this numerous times on this show. You and I have talked about it, Boyd. There is a massive quantity of potential fans on the West Coast that have not been exposed to what you're doing and to what the industry is doing. So a lot of people out there, man, but still a lot of restrictions and a lot of things that have to happen from a revenue standpoint for you guys to make that move out to the West Coast. Agreed?
I agree. It's that part is a little bit tough, and also as far as providing tournaments on the West Coast, FLW has a presence on the West Coast. We have talked a lot about when we move into 21 about trying to schedule a Toyota series out there that makes a little more sense, and some better higher paying tournament events on the West Coast, because hey man, I love going out there. I mean, some of my best experiences are when we have fished on the West Coast. Great fisheries, great anglers. I have some friends out there that are phenomenal anglers. Guys are serious about tournament fishing, and we're all one country, and we East and West when it comes to bass fishing. We need to all be together and stay together and share, and we need more tournaments out on the West Coast, good paying tournaments. So that's on my radar too.
All right, Austin in Alabama wants to know, why did you guys quit making the Ghost Rod?
We quit making the Ghost Rod because, basically all fishing rod series have a life cycle. The consumers in this country like new products. So, we launch a new product. It goes to wherever level based on the acceptable, and every rod manufacturer's in this, to where, depending on how popular the rod is, would be the top of the arch. And then rod sales eventually start to fall off the other side. We try to anticipate that and launch new rod series because that's what consumers demand from us. The only rod series that I keep, because it's so special to my heart, are the Micro Magic Pros. We'll always have them. I have worked on those rods and tweaked them for 10 years. They continue to get better. And there's so many great rod actions. I say that unless I can't sell any. At some point when you guys say I'm not buying any more Micro Magic Pros, I'll have to quit those. But that's why all rod manufacturers do that. It's just a sales cycle. Now, I will tell you this, if you've forgotten, we took the Ghost Blank, identical. I still own those mandrels and still produce rods. That became the Green Ghost. It's a $79 price point rod now. We saved a little bit of money on guides and some of the hard whale, reel seed, etc. And that became the Green Ghost. So if you like that Ghost Blank, which a lot of people did, still available in the Green Ghost for $79. And so there you go.
That's my favorite rod.
Yeah.
the lowest price point. I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's how I roll. But
yeah, I hear you, man.
I really, really, really like that rod. It's good stuff. All right. Dave wants to know, is there anything that you could tell us about the Red Crest? Any tease, anything about the expo, anything?
Yeah, man. Gosh, the Red Crest, we have some cool stuff planned for the Red Crest. Obviously, being at Major League Fishing, we have a partnership. Myself and a small group of anglers own half this company. KSE, Crockett Sports and Entertainment, owns the other half. They have a division called Outdoor Sportsman Group, which owns the networks, Sportsman Channel, Outdoor Channel, 7 or 8 websites, 22 outdoor magazines. They are in the outdoors business in tons of facets. So we are excited about uniting both the fishing industry and the hunting and outdoor industry into one combined expo. I mean, we're interested, most of us that are in the outdoors, I mean, we fish and we hunt and we do things outside. And so our interest is beyond. And we just think it'd be the coolest thing to have all of that come together at one expo. So that's one of the things that you'll see at ours. It's not, obviously it's all about the tournament. It's all about fishing. But in addition to that, we have some really great, some top hunting stars that'll be there. A lot of outdoor products that are not fishing specific, so you'll see that difference. Another thing that's going to really be different is our Celebration Sunday. You saw that in the news release. I know Mark Jeffries is a big fan of that,
Yeah.
So because I heard you on one of the shows talking with one of your guests from Ohio, I think from memory. But at any rate, that's one of the things that we think is really cool for the fans, is to have this Celebration Sunday, have all 80 guys, including the winner and all the top 10 competitors from the final day, have everybody there on Sunday to have this Celebration Sunday. We have cool stuff going on, phenomenal product giveaways. You're going to see an unprecedented product giveaway. That's something that we think is cool to appreciate those fans that travel to the Red Crest. We have every one of our sponsors, and I'm talking about some big ticket items. I'm not going to give it away, but some big stuff. And we're going to do tons of that. And that'll be cool. It'll be fun to go somewhere and to win something that's extremely valuable and have a high percentage, because we have. So that'll be different. That Celebration Sunday, guys, is going to be something that's unprecedented in the sport, something we haven't done before, and you're not going to want to miss that. It'll be the biggest day in bass fishing you've ever been part of. So come to Red Crest.
All right, there you have it. That's your tease, Dave and everybody else. Ryan in Kentucky wants to know, is there any process or anything in the making to make a rod that is in the $200 to $300 range?
We have an outstanding series in our Pro Series. We have a Pro Series line that is $199 to $219. Those Pro Series rods are unbelievable high modulus graphite rods. They are specifically, we worked with all the guys that we have on our pro staff. We worked around those to get some technique specific rods. And so that's right there in that price point, $200 to $220. And that's a cool series if you haven't seen those, man. I mean, they're unbelievably sensitive and they do, really good rod for that price point. I don't have anything in 300. We just jumped straight to the Black Ice, which is the finest fishing rod ever produced. I'll stand behind that. You go in the store, you hold it, you feel it, you drag something across the bottom. I'm going to tell you, there is no rod ever made as sensitive as the Black Ice. And anybody here, you call me out if that's not the truth.
Wow.
It's the most sensitive fishing rod that's ever been produced. Comes with a lifetime warranty. And I built that rod because we can. Not with the expectation of selling high volume. It's just, I've worked on this so many years, and I just wanted to say, hey, I want to build the nicest bass fishing rod that's ever been created. I want to use the components necessary to make that happen. So hold one. if you don't buy one, I get it. It's $400, $420, but hold one, look at it, and then argue with me if it's not the most sensitive rod you've ever held.
All right, there you have it. That's good stuff. Let's see here. This is an interesting question from Brad McDaniel. Wants to know, how has the coronavirus changed what a typical day is for Boyd Duckett?
Yeah, well, I told you earlier, I've been in Guntersville, Alabama for 5 straight weeks, which is a record for me. Normally, I'm on an airplane in a different city a day or two every week for something. And so one of the biggest changes is it's stopped me, from traveling because we just don't have business appointments. Even my customers, I got a meeting on the BD baits with Bass Pro Shop buyers, and instead of going to Springfield like always to show all the new products, the new BD products, which we have a ton of new baits being launched this year, and so we're going to do it. We'll do it live Skype. Here it is, guys. So those kind of things. Same thing. My corporate meetings at Academy down at Houston. We're doing those live Skype. I'd normally be in Houston for that. So it's the lack of travel and learning to communicate, virtually and via technology with, Zoom or GoToMeeting or Skype or whatever. That's probably the biggest noticeable change. I also have noticed, so here's kind of how my day goes, and we go out and we'll shop and all that, but in my head, so that I do the right things, because I haven't washed my hands in the past like I should, I haven't worn the face mask and all, but I treat every surface I touch when I leave my home as if it has poison on it. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. So when I touch the handle at Walmart or the buggy at Walmart or Publix, I just try to keep in my mind, that everything has poison on it. Yeah. And so that makes you not touch your mouth and, wash your hands, use your antiseptic. So it is a different world. And I'll tell you something else too, guys. I think you're going to see a permanent change caused by this. We have a big awareness now. This coronavirus is not going to go away quickly. Social distancing or the result of that. If you notice, if you go to a drive-through now, there's a piece of plastic on the window that goes halfway down on almost all the drive-through windows now that didn't used to be there. I think that we're going to see a permanent change in this country where we're more aware of, being separated and not being able to, get our particles on somebody else, So, that's what it is, man. Yeah. So, I think you're going to see that for a long time. It's just different now.
So are you wearing a Duckett fishing buff around town? Are you wearing a mask?
I wore a mask, like when we went to grocery shopping, mostly because, not because I felt like I needed to wear a mask, but because I felt guilty not wearing the mask. Yeah. That's why, and it's not a mask. I just took a Duckett fishing buff. That's exactly right. I keep it around my neck and I just pull it up. But I went in once and I was like the only person that didn't have a mask on, and everybody was looking at me like, like I had a disease or something. You know what I mean?
What are you doing, man?
So I felt guilty for not doing it. So since then, I keep a couple of buffs in my car and I just throw it up so that, I don't want to not do my part. I don't want to not fit in. I don't want to be rude. So that's why I'm wearing a mask.
All right. Rich in Connecticut wants to know, what are your thoughts about the 2-pound minimum? Has that worked out well?
I tell you something, and I'll remind you that the 2-pound minimum is actually a variable minimum. So we went to the variable minimum. It has been to the first 3 events of the season, but remember, it's not a hard set 2. We have a couple planned at 3-pound minimum. I mean, you talk about a strain, you talk about a hard competition, the highest bar ever set. and we had one set at a 1 pound minimum because it's a fishery that you need, in order to have a competition, you need to be able to weigh 1 pounders. But going to that variable minimum, I think, was a big advancement because it slowed the game down some. It allowed the guys to fish for bigger fish, which is what we wanted to do. And on some of these better fisheries, like I said, we had plans this season. I don't know how it'll be when we get rescheduled, but we had a couple at 3 pounds even. But the whole idea here is for our guys to be held to a higher standard to fish for bigger fish, to be able to advance. But it's worked phenomenally. I mean, I say that based on the fan reaction, in our live stream views. I mean, starting this season, we're so disappointed, because of the coronavirus to slow us down because we had so much momentum. We were killing it, man, on live stream. Mm-hmm. Our last, just to tell you that, our last live stream at Lake Fork, we had 477,000 unique viewers, not come in and come out.
Yeah.
477,000. That's almost 500,000 people. That rivals our television ratings. I mean, it's phenomenal how well this season was going, and I think a lot of it is simply forcing the anglers to focus on the bigger fish and making them and rewarding them for that. So the variable minimum size, that's good. You'll see that stick because that's worked well for us, and you'll see us throw a couple up there that make it really hard. I mean, it'll slow the game way down, obviously, but we're going to make our guys fish for the big ones. You wait till heavy hitters, that's got big 3 pound minimum in it. So you'll see how hard it is to catch very many over 3 pounds, man. It's hard.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. All right, very interesting question from John in New York. Has there been any discussion about, prior to the next event, getting the anglers and the officials and anybody else that will be on location tested prior to that event for COVID?
Yes. Yep, we have talked about that, and we intend to do that. So we'll know before we go what our anglers and our staff, we intend to test them so that we know that they're not sick when they come. You also may see us shift, which, we can do at Major League Fishing. We're very unique at Major League Fishing in the sense that, we don't have to gather. We're a live stream product. We're a made for television product. We don't have crowds. We don't have activations. We're a very different breed, so we can stay apart. It's a pretty safe, it's the perfect format for this environment, and probably this environment going forward. Even our angler meeting the night before the event, starts, we can do that virtually, and that's probably what we'll do. So we'll do that via Zoom. So, it's really not a high risk for us to come have an event. We're not around but a couple of people at any point in time, and we're in a boat and you and an official. It's probably safer than being at home. It's definitely safer than going to Walmart once. I promise you that.
Or Home Depot.
The whole week is safer than that.
Or Home Depot or Lowe's.
Home Depot, yeah.
Oh, man, it was crazy. Here in Oklahoma City, they actually had to shut down a Lowe's because they were not doing the limited number of people in the store. It was crazy. In fact, there was a pastor from a church, Boyd, this is pretty funny. He said, and he was very vocal and said, look, he goes, you guys won't let me conduct service on Sunday, but you're going to have 1,000 people in Lowe's. Tell you what I'm going to do. All right, service on Sunday is going to be in the plumbing section of Lowe's. That's what we're going to do.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Yeah. It's been a challenge, all these individual state governments, in my opinion, and it's my opinion only, there's been a tremendous amount of government overreach. I understand the need for safety. We also have a constitutional right. We have the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, and I worry some, and it's not about the COVID virus or the need for safety, but when you look at the government overreach that the governor of Michigan, for instance, taking on, individuals that, there's a situation up there where a guy lived on a private lake, and he went out he left his private home into his private boat dock and got in his private boat and went in the center of a lake. Okay. And he got fined for that.
Wow.
They sent the sheriff's department to get him. That is government overreach, guys. This is not communist China. Yeah. This is America, the land of the free. And I'll take this moment to warn you, you better be careful not to let your governments take this government overreach, or your freedoms will be gone quickly. Okay? Quickly. When they realize that you're a group of sheep and you'll do anything you say, they're going to cut your waterways off. They're going to ask for your guns because they can. You don't want one individual making decisions about your life. I'm not discounting the coronavirus, but your freedom in this country is something a lot of people died for, and don't give it up this easy. Okay? That's my stump speech for the day.
There you have it. All right. Are you a turkey hunter? Do you like to turkey hunt?
No, I'm not a turkey hunter, and I have been, and it's extremely exciting. But I work so much, I have a limited amount of time to fish, and I'm scared to death that if I turkey hunt, I'll miss my spring fishing. So I don't want to learn about turkey hunting. I went once, and it's awesome, by the way. It's awesome. But it'll make you stop fishing in the spring.
Yeah. It's pretty addictive, too. At least that's what they tell me.
It's addicting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's cool. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I like to dove hunt in the fall because we don't have any tournaments in the fall. And that's fun, too. I love to go shoot doves.
All right, man. So, really, what's on the agenda for the next week or two, man? Is this probably, the most important month for Major League Fishing over the next 4 weeks that you've seen in the 10-year history?
No doubt, man. We've got a lot of decisions to make. We need to make good ones. So we will be scrambling. If we're going to kick back into May 1st to June, if we're going to go back, a ton of planning needs to be made. So we're going to have to pull the trigger. Let's see, this is April 29th. We probably have 2 weeks to make that decision and then be fully planned. So this upcoming month is going to be wide open, trying to scramble up, to finish all these FLW events. We have 232 tournaments at FLW Outdoors.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of events.
That is a lot.
And about 100 and something of them have been postponed and have to be rescheduled. Then obviously at Major League Fishing, with the events we need to get in and the television shows we have to shoot. So it'll be a crazy 2 weeks, but we're going to do the best we can. We're going to go back to fishing, and we're going to hope that the world straightens out in 21 so that we can have a great season in 21.
All right, man. Well, it had been a while since you've been on the show. I'm glad that you could carve out some time to come back on. And when this thing gets somewhat straightened out as far as your schedule and what you're going to do the remainder of the year, I'd like to have you back on again. I'm sure the fans would appreciate that, and kind of break down what your plans are for the remainder of the season once you have a schedule put together. So if you're good with that, man, look forward to having you on again, Boyd.
Absolutely, man. I always enjoy coming on. You're the guests, the listeners on Bass Talk Live.
Yeah.
Okay. I do lots of interviews for different things. Your listeners are real, and they ask the hard questions. I never get softballs on BTL, and you too. You have that too. You're not a bit scared to ask me things that you shouldn't ask me.
Yeah.
But hey, that's cool. That's one of the things I love so much about this show is it's real, and you ask the questions, whether it's a good answer or a bad answer. It's fun. I enjoy listening to it and watching it as well. So great show and a great fan base.
All right, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the fans, that's what makes this show. I mean, the feedback that I get. In fact, we are going to do something. I don't know if you know about this, but we're going to do something to give back to the fans here in the next week or two. And I'm actually testing it this week or this weekend. We're going to work on it, but Major League Fishing is involved in it. So it's very, very cool, Boyd. Very excited about it. And I had to come up with a creative way to give back to the fans, so that's what I'm doing, man.
That's awesome, and I want to throw one quick thing in.
Yeah.
Do you know what the All-In Challenge is? Have you heard of that?
Poker challenge?
No, it's called the All-In Challenge, and I think some celebrities from Hollywood originally kind of kicked this off. De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio maybe kicked it off. But it's this deal where you create. It's a fundraiser. 100% of the proceeds, if you get involved in this, Fanatics.com posts this, and they're operating the All-In Challenge. And so groups, a lot of sports stars and movie stars and stuff, and they're giving something away to create these contributions.
Okay.
So and all of the money goes to these organizations that provide food, Meals on Wheels and kids, because there's a lot of people, the food organizations. There's a lot of organizations in this country that feed people. And they're at one of their toughest times because they're strained. So if there's ever been a time, it's a cool opportunity. Well, Kevin Van Dam, myself, and Martin Truex Jr., NASCAR Cup champion, the three of us got together, and we're doing this really cool giveaway where we're going to do a 3-day all outdoor sports competition. It's going to be at Big Cedar Lodge. Blowout deal, skeet shooting competition, golf competition, Major League Fishing style competition. Martin's going to put us in the race cars there at Big Cedar, and probably take the governors off so that he can beat us up doing that.
Wow.
But we have 3 days of great fun planned. So go to Fanatics.com, look at the All-In Challenge, and you guys sign up, because me and Van Dam and Martin Truex are going to spend 3 days entertaining 3 lucky winners. And I promise you, dude, it's going to be, hey, I'm coming. I'm bringing my private jet. I'm going to fly to where you are. I'm going to pick you up at your house. I'm going to take you to Big Cedar. We're going to have the biggest 3-day outdoor adventure of all time, and I'm going to fly you back home to your house. How about that?
That is cool. That
coolest experience ever. So go to Fanatics.com and check it out, or go to the All-In Challenge and find it. You guys sign up for our, I'd love for some of the fishing people to win this challenge, because we're going to have a blast. I promise you. We got a lot of cool stuff. Johnny Morris and the group at Big Cedar rolling out the red carpet, and you know what that's going to be like. It's first class, and you're going to love it. It's going to be a good time.
That's awesome, Boyd. That is really, really neat. All right. Everybody, next week, look for the schedule. Tomorrow will be either a best of or something. We kind of got thrown into a loop with the Tim Horton situation, and once again, our thoughts are with the Horton family. Hopefully his mom is doing better. But just stay tuned. Check out the schedule on the website, and then we will have the schedule out there for next week as we continue to roll out 4 shows a week. That's what we're going to try and do, sometimes 5. So once again, please make sure, if you're listening on iTunes, make sure you rate us, and please write a review. It helps us out immensely. So everybody be safe. That's it. We're out of here. We'll talk to you soon.